say that the mind literally comes from the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only through the nervous system, right, but from other body parts. Yeah, actually, right? So signals from the body, get translated into, the nervous system, basically, right? And that is why it's so important, right? Um, so this brings us, to the question of, okay, how does the body and the mind relate to each other, right? Unfortunately, in our current society, we kind of believe that the mind and the body are two separate things that work together, right? But actually, we can see that they're actually one and the same. They're united, right? The mind is the body is the mind, pretty much. Yeah. This is not 100% scientifically verified yet. Yeah. It is very difficult to say for definite it's one and the same. Yeah. But we have clues that it is. Yeah. For example, what I just mentioned, right? Whenever we have a mental activity, we feel angry. Yeah, we hate someone, right? We feel it in our bodies. Yeah. Um, and what I have experienced in my own practice as a therapist is that if you understand what a person feels in their body, you understand the mental life of the person. Yeah. Yes, you might have you get more information from maybe their thoughts and their feelings, but if you really want to get to the core, to the crux, yeah, you look at the body, right? The body can give a lot of information, yeah, about how you're actually feeling. Think about a person that you don't really like, yeah, and when you spend time with them, right? Maybe your body reacts a certain way. Could that be? Is that true for you guys? Yeah. Okay. Maybe you feel, I cannot, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah. Or or you feel sick even, right? I have a colleague of mine who said that when her mother hugs her, she feels icky, right? Not a nice feeling, but it shows what the body is trying to say.
It's also the same if you are, for example, doing something that you don't like it. For example, in my personal experience, it was the work in Stefan and then in museum. And I was like, okay, I'm doing that, and I have very nice people around me, but I really hated this job.
Exactly.
And to be honest, my face and everything was, if I'm looking at the pictures at that period, I was swollen. I was really not okay. I mean, I'm not a Monica Bellucci, but to be honest, yeah, it was terrible because every day, I mean, 3 or 4 days at the work, every day in the morning, I was like, oh, what the fuck? I need to go to this fucking job. I hate the job. I hate the job. I hate the job. I hate everything. And of course, body is okay. I mean, it's your body is reacting to this emotional, uncomfortable, I don't know, feeling. Or
Exactly. Yeah. It does not only occur with other people, it occurs in situations.
Mhm.
100% that you don't want to be in. Yeah. That's why, even for like career advice, like, or thinking about your career, what direction you want your life to go. So often listening to your body is the best thing to know, actually, right? Because we feel comfortable when our body feels safe. Yeah. And our body is it's not governed by social expectations. It's not governed by social rules. Yeah, it's governed purely by what you yourself want, what you yourself feel comfortable with. Yeah, your own survival, for example, right? Your own peace, basically. Yeah, peace of mind, right? Yeah. So trust your body, right? Trust the instincts, right? Yeah. Now, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, yeah. The thing is, of course, because our body is very self-centered, right? It's very based on, what we are thinking and feeling at the time. Of course, there can be a misjudgment. Yeah, absolutely. But that's why you have to listen to it, right? Because behind this feeling, there's a story, right? um, um, so you have to understand what is actually happening behind the scenes, right? And this is what I want to get to, right? In understanding the body with mental health, right? So, how does the body translate into the mind, right? How does that happen? Well, our body is receiving information from the outside, right? Obviously, from the outside world, or from inside, even. Yeah. And it will require certain actions, yeah, to proceed with that information, right? If you are hungry, you have to eat. Yeah. If you're tired, if you're sick, you have to sleep, right? That puts a pressure, some kind of pressure on the mind to act. Yeah. The body needs something, so it needs to act, right? Now, the problem is we live in a society. We can't always satisfy everything that our body wants and needs, right? Also, there's going to be other people that infringe on our, bodily needs, right? So, for example, our need for love, right, can be blocked, dismissed, yeah, abandoned by someone, yeah. This leads to a blockage, right, in that demand from the body, yeah. And so, what happens then? Well, then you feel uncomfortable, right? My body wants something, but I'm not getting it. So, what now, right? So, that impulse, the information from the body, yeah, needs to be converted. Yeah, it needs to be directed somewhere else. Yeah, it can be directed, for example, uh, into a bodily symptom, right? Maybe it can be directed into anxiety, right? Or it can be directed into maybe um, some kind of like subtle action, right? Like writing or artwork, yeah, or dancing or aggression, right? Like punching something, right? Yeah. That those are different ways that these impulses can be directed, right? Now, how much tension there is determines how how aggressively this impulse will be redirected. Yeah. So the more blockage there is, yeah, the more intense the redirection of the impulse. Yeah, the more um, the more brutal it will be, right? So, for example, let us say you didn't receive love from a parent, right, as a child, yeah, and you needed that love, you needed that safety, right? That will create a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, right? And this anger might be directed, for example, to, you know, criminal activity, right? Maybe you steal something, right, in order to get attention, right? Maybe you kill someone, yeah, if it's really severe, yeah, right. Let's use a more subtle example, right? A more gentle example, right? Let's say, yeah, again, you didn't receive love, right? And maybe this need for love is going to be redirected into maybe, being very submissive, being very shy, right? You're kind of tiptoeing around people, I don't want to hurt people, right? Because I need their validation, I need their love, right? Yeah. So these are different ways that these impulses are redirected, right? And at a very basic level, these um, these impulses can be felt in the body somehow, right? For example, I heard of one case, of one um, patient who frequently stole lots of things, yeah, from supermarkets, yeah, and over many many years, right, of psychoanalysis, right, he opened up about how his parents put him into a boarding school from a very young age. So he never spent time at home, right? He was always in a school, right? And this was in the UK, and British boarding schools are very oppressive environments, right? They are all about instilling very uh, tough love on you, right? And of course, as this little boy, right, he needed his parents' love and attention, right? And instead he got this kind of environment, yeah. And of course, he grew up to be a very, reasonable, very successful person. Yeah, he became a lawyer, right, working in a very top law firm in London. Amazing. But in his free time, he stole. Yeah, ironic, right? And every time he stole, right, he had this feeling of like excitement in his in his stomach. You know why? Because he was finally doing something, you know, like a child. He was finally behaving like a child would. He was taught all his life to be, to be polite, to be civil, right? To be tough, right? To do lots of sports, right? And not be vulnerable, right? Now he could be vulnerable, right? Yeah, finally he can actually steal something. Yeah, it sounds strange, right? But in mentally we work very, very, very strangely. Yes. So he felt this in his body, and his bodily response gave the clue what was actually happening, right? And that's why I'm saying by understanding the body, right, you understand what is really happening in the mind, right? Even though it might be maybe what the person is feeling is completely delusional, right? If you look as at what is actually happening, then you see the truth, right? What is how the person is perceiving the world, why they're perceiving the world that way. Yeah. Did that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Maybe. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes, yes. And these behaviors, right, are coming from these physical components, right? Right. but because the physical part of us, yeah, is so like deeply ingrained, yeah, it's hard to access it, right? So when I'm saying, listen to your body, pay attention to your body, it's not easy, right? Yeah. It requires a lot of self-awareness, right? And that's why in therapy, when we're speaking about, oh, we discovered this and this about the body, right? We're speaking about, oh, yes, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, okay. um, we're speaking about, many years of therapy, you know, that this is discovered, right? Or a very long period of time, generally. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, sorry, Juan, you wanted to ask something. I'll let you ask. Ah, exactly. Well, it's neglecting the it's neglecting our humanity, actually, if you think about it, right? It's making us, follow certain, somebody else's rules in order to fit into the society, right? Don't concentrate on your emotions, right? Just, work basically, right? Or concentrate on what's important, right? Now, to some degree, yes, you might need to do that, right? You have to sometimes, focus on real world stuff, right? Yeah. But the body is the real world too. Yeah. So if your body is screaming and saying, no, I don't want this, listen to it, right? And it might be a very difficult reality to confront, right? Imagine, right, you spend, let's say, your whole life doing something, right, only to realize that like your health has been completely affected, badly affected by this, right? It's hard to come to terms with, right? But it just goes to show how, we are very much influenced by the outside world, and unfortunately our body can react in very harsh ways, right, that make life completely debilitating. Right, but that's exactly why we have to listen, yeah, and act appropriately, right? So for example, let's say you are working somewhere that is really bad for your health. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, Tere, you can ask.
Oh, okay, I can wait also. The thing is that I have a question.
Mhm.
Then, because as you told us, we are living not alone, we are in a society, and because of that, actually, it's impossible to be just in a body, just to be. I mean, we should be, we should listen us, but how to find this balance? How to find the balance to be in the society, to do the things that you should do just to survive or just some stuff, and to concentrate the the everything, but then don't to lose your balance, your feelings, because it's impossible to say that, hey, I'm today a little bit aggressive because I have a trauma. It's idiotic. How, I mean, it's not serious. Yeah, how to have this balance, to have also emotional stuff, but also to be a person who is living in the society. I mean, to combine these two, because of course it's very careful to care about your mental health, but mm, it's also not necessary to sit at home and to say, okay, something is wrong with me. I mean, you can see it, you can do it, but it will be, if it takes long time, it is also not necessary. How to find this balance? Because everyone has these topics. I mean, it can happen to everyone, to, it doesn't matter the religion, nation, everyone has something, everyone had something in the past, problems with I don't know, with family or not, traumas, or I don't know, everything, or body problems, everything, everyone has something. But how to combine these two worlds?
Amazing question. Very, very important question, right? So I will finish first what I wanted to say before. So let us say, you know, um, you you worked in a place, you know, that you really did not actually like, right? And your body was showing that, right? At some point you have to take some action, right? And say, no, I don't want to be there, right? Of course, it can go to a very extreme extent where, let's say, literally your whole life feels like a lie, right? Your body reacted so badly, yeah, to the world around you, right? And you just have to scream now, right? You just have to now, like, go full on, you know, unloading all of your emotional chaos, right, outwards, yeah, and really concentrate on your body and self-care. In this case, this is where therapy comes in, right? This is where self-care does not work anymore. Yeah, you need therapy, right? Why? Because with a therapist you can now have an objective stance to see, you know, what is actually happening in your mind, right? You're experiencing all of these bodily sensations, right? Where did this come from, first of all, right? But also, you know, what is it saying about you, right? This is where maybe some uncomfortable confrontations about yourself have to come in as well, then, you know. And this is then a separate category. This is where then through therapy you gain more of an understanding of yourself, and you can set then better boundaries between yourself and the world. Of course, that's not easy, right? It might require some big changes in your life, but you know, what I've noticed is that when we do really listen to what our bodies are telling us, right, and we finally put a stop to things, it can really um, it can really create such a strong relief for us, right, and really improve our lives, right? Yeah. Of course, there's so many different factors that play into this, right? Of course, you know, if you're someone, let's say, who is poor, right, or living in a very unfair society, right, economically speaking, yeah, then of course you have to sacrifice certain things. You have to make certain sacrifices, unfortunately, right? Um, but all of that goes back to the importance of the body, right? If as a society we can put more of an emphasis on health, right? On physical and mental health, right? And how these two things are together, right? It can lead to more of an improvement in how societies function, actually, right? Which then leads to a better, healthier population. Yeah. Yes. Fancy. Mm. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Oh yeah. Yes, yes, exactly. And that's why in collective mental health, you also see a pattern of physical symptoms as well, right? So, for example, um, unfortunately, in a lot of modern societies in Europe, right, or the West, right, um, you do see, a rise in, for example, cancer, right, a rise in autoimmune diseases, right, a rise in gastrointestinal issues as well, right, in back problems too. All of these are physical diseases, sure, and they all have physical causes too, right? But the mind, uh, or the psyche, right, affects that as well, right? And I think if we notice a pattern of diseases in a society or within a family, we can safely assume that maybe a part of the reason for that is not just genetic, it's it's psychological too, right? So yeah, absolutely, right. The body becomes a societal thing too, actually, not just individual, right? Yeah. Yes. Oh, mm, yeah. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Ironic, right? Yeah. Um, and yeah, absolutely. The physical and the mental are important at the same time, right? So I'm not going to be one of those people who say, oh, you have a physical disease, oh, then it must be mental, just don't think about it, right? Or you have a tummy ache, just don't think about it. Of course not. No, 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 no. Bad, 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 very bad. Because, because the mind and the body, the mind and the body are one thing, right? So if you have a physical component, if you have a physical disease, you have to address it physically. Yeah. But also the mental aspect is important too to consider, right? If you have cancer, you treat the cancer, but the treatment will mean shit if you are stressed all the time, right? Or if you have chronic stress. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. It will be worse for you, right? Yeah. So that brings us then to, I think, another question, which is, okay, uh, how, what kind of manifestations of physical symptoms come with the mind, with mental phenomenon? Yeah, and there are different categories. I already mentioned one, autoimmune diseases. Yeah, very very important ones. Yeah. Autoimmune diseases are simply conditions where the immune system attacks a certain body part. Yeah. Why? It can be genetic, it can be lifestyle, right? It can be chronic stress. That's a very, very important one, right? Chronic stress. Yeah. Chronic stress meaning, you know, decades, yeah, lifelong stress that has been hidden. Yeah. Stress affects the immune system, right? When the immune system is depleted, it will react very harshly. Yeah, if there are, if there's a limit in immune cells, right, those few immune cells will try to react as strongly as possible, right, to defend the body, right. But by doing that, it attacks its own body, right. So there's lots of autoimmune diseases, right, actually. Yeah. The most common ones would be like multiple sclerosis, yeah, MS, right? Another one would be rheumatoid arthritis, which is a type of arthritis where Instead of your joints just swelling up, it's your immune system that is attacking the joints, which causes inflammation. Right? Another one is IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Right, that's another very common one. Yeah. Another one is psoriasis, which is a skin condition where your skin gets itchy. Right. These are all autoimmune diseases. Right. And this is maybe this is this is maybe the most common form of the relationship between the mind and the body, right? But it's not the only one, right? That's why very important to know about the body and the mind. Yeah, there's also psychosomatic diseases. Yeah, psychosomatic are simply diseases that have a psychological relationship, right? So, for example, you're nervous, so you feel sick. Yeah, you're nervous, so you get diarrhea. Yeah. Um, what else? Mm. Oh yeah, yes, this is so common. So Exactly. Exactly. That's psychosomatic, right?
Juan, I can control that because I have something stronger than that, like autoimmune shit, and because of that, this is like, before it was of course like that, but now I'm like, children, that's nothing. I can control you. You can kill me. Hoo hoo. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a very positive mindset you can have, right? Yeah. Um, Psychosomatic can also mean um, an existing physical condition that is amplified by psychological factors. I already mentioned cancer, for example, right? Cancer is already an existing physical condition. It can be made worse by psychological factors, right? Um, then the last category, right, of bodily conditions connected to the mind is somatization, right? Have you heard of those? Have you heard of that category? No? Somatization is a little bit harder to identify, right? Somatization is basically when something psychological directly becomes physical. Directly. Like it's psychological body, right? Direct, right? These are a little bit harder to see nowadays. These are more of an older thing, right? You see that more in like 19th century societies, um, or in very rural communities where talking about feelings is not so big. Yeah. Somatization disorders would be like arm paralysis. One arm would be paralyzed, or one leg would be paralyzed for no reason, right? Or blindness, sudden blindness, yeah, or uh, tension in your shoulder and neck muscles lead to ear blockage, yeah, or tension in your back leads to very strong back pains, yeah, or um, or yeah, it can also be you are so anxious that you breathe a lot that you run out of breath. Yeah, you lose breath basically, and you faint. Yeah, that can also be a somatization, right? So these are the different ways, yeah, that the mind manifests in the body, right? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I have too much questions because
No, no.
about this topic because okay, I know someone um who had these symptoms like was paralyzed with I don't know with the body
Yes.
1 year, 1 year, and everyone was like telling them he's like a I don't know, he will never be like normal. And then after 1 year, the person is again normal. I mean, normal like can be can stay, can
Yes.
do something,
Yes.
not paralyzed.
Yes.
How it's possible? Because okay, I know that the reason maybe was very something very private, something happened, someone died, and
Yes.
because of that someone is in trauma and something like that.
Yes.
But how it's possible that during this year and then after that the person is again normal? I mean, I will never say that the person is normal because it's something changed, but how it's possible then someone is not able to walk and then after 1 year is again like normal person? How?
That actually happened to me once, many, many years
Oh,
ago. Not paralysis. No, no, not paralysis. I wasn't
okay.
paralyzed, but like something similar, right? A similar like idea. Yeah. The thing is, mental difficulties, yeah, conflicts, psychological conflicts, yeah, can be hidden for a very long time before something in the outside world triggers them again, right?
Oh.
Leading to a spark and then leads to symptoms coming, right? Our mind has a very, very sophisticated system of defenses, yeah, that protect us from pain. And if that pain can be nicely regulated, we can survive years, decades, not knowing about that conflict, completely keeping it shut out until something on the outside brings it back up, right? And then our defenses don't work again, leading to symptoms. In this case, paralysis, right? For example, yeah. And then it can be that over a whole year, maybe eventually that conflict subsided somehow. It can be. It can be. Yeah, even without therapy, right? And then it goes away. But it might come back later, or maybe not, right?
The thing is that I mean the person is not alive, and it happened. I mean maybe for 70 years ago,
Yes.
and that period was not easy to have. I mean, it was not so in the society. I mean, the physical health and something. It was not like nowadays. Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing is that for me, it's like, can we say that it is like a mental coma or something like that?
You can describe it like that, absolutely. Yeah, a kind of mental coma. Yeah, it's very strange. It's very unusual, like something that dramatic, right? Like paralysis is a dramatic physical, manifestation, right? But yes, it can definitely be a coma. Yeah, I mean, just to share from my side, in I think it was 2018, um, for half a summer, I had continuous 24/7 nausea.
Oof.
Just continuous, like feeling like I was going to throw up, but nothing ever came. Nothing. It's just continuous like that. I have no idea what it was. I think it was psychosomatic for sure, but it went away in like 2 months. Yeah. Suddenly, just disappeared. And then never returned again. Right? But I think it was like psychosomatic because I remember when I came, when I came, because I was on holiday. When I came back to Vienna, then I felt better. So maybe it was related, but really that's a mystery that is still unsolved. It's so strange. Yeah. So it might be something similar to that, right? Just a very mysterious physical condition.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. 5 minutes. Okay. So I think that's a good time to sort of address, okay, how can you guys apply this concept of the body, yeah, in your private and professional lives, right? It all starts with identifying patterns in your body. Are there patterns in which your body is reacting a certain way in certain situations, right? Um, make note of them, right? Unless it's obviously something physical, right? Maybe it is something psychological, right? Maybe it's related to the environment that you're in, right? Or maybe it's just something within yourself, right, that you haven't figured out yet, right? Can also be, right? Do that also with your students, right? Maybe, yeah, if you if they have certain physical problems, yeah, especially with their voice, yeah, maybe there's a pattern there too, right, to make note of, right? And knowing that can be a good avenue to then establish, you know, can I solve this maybe just with self care, just with understanding myself better, or do I need more help? Basically, yeah, that's a good way of sort of looking at it. Yeah, in terms of self care, right? Some good things to be mindful of is how you balance your life, right? Very often we are consumed with lots of things that we have to do in our lives, right? But maybe finding a balance between, when you work and when you rest, yeah, can help you a lot, can help you feel more at ease, yeah. Um, and when I say rest, right, it can be just pure rest, right? But it can also be exercising, eating healthy, yeah, taking time to cook, for example, right? Taking time to socialize, those things, right? These are all important, yeah, because they all offer balance, yeah, for us. Mhm. Yeah. So I think, yeah, this is a good point to conclude. I think, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Thank you too. Thank you. Thank you. Interview. That's good. That's good. Yeah, sure. Yes. 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 Yeah. Have a
Thank you so
lovely
much,
Sunday.
Chris.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
Thank you
Chris.
for everything, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Take care. Have a lovely Sunday.
You too, guys. Very good. Oh. Okay, very good job.